Hey everyone, we're Jess and Jess with the Well Keep, and we are joined today by Stephanie Finn. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, and today is a pediatric nurse practitioner's holistic guide to back to school immunity.
And basically, she is going to show us all the good stuff that we need to know to keep our kids well.
Yes, Stephanie, we're so excited to jump in with you and learn all of your tips and tricks. We know you've been in nursing for 15 years, but then also have 7 years experience as a pediatric nurse practitioner, and you've worked in private practice with more of a holistic and integrative approach, but then also in the actual pediatric hospital setting. So we know you have an incredible perspective. Let's jump right in. Like, what should we be doing for our school-age children?
Thank you. Well, I just want to say I like to keep it simple and easy for parents. With schedules and multiple children and activities, the last thing we want is a long laundry list of things to do to stay healthy. And simplifying the routine can make a world of a difference on whether these tools are actually implemented. So one of the staples and the main things that will help a child to stay healthy and build resilience and a healthy immune system throughout the year is getting adequate sleep. I can't stress enough how important it is just to keep the bedtime routine consistent and allow for the child to get enough sleep based on their age. Preschoolers are going to need more sleep than a teenager. So when you have a home where there are different ages of children, you'll have to have a routine that allows for each of them to get the same or the adequate amount of sleep for their age. Doing things like using lavender to help calm them in the evenings. Magnesium can be very helpful. I know a lot of parents like to do with the oils and the bath time routine. So just having it in a place where you can easily pick it up, grab it, apply it, and just have it as a staple in your home can be great, especially for the children who may have a little more difficulty falling asleep. There have been times where parents have told me, I tried everything at night, they're just so amped up, they don't want to relax. And then it could be something as simple as, oh, they need a little more magnesium. That's something you could talk to your healthcare provider about. Maybe we should check their magnesium levels. I love
all the
listening.
time in our house. Like, I know you've taught us to do like the magnesium soak with Epsom salt. And so I think we both do this. We'll take like a cup of magnesium, like the Epsom salt, and add in, 3 or 4 drops of lavender directly onto the salts, and then let them have that bath for 10 or 15 minutes. And we just notice they're in that calmer state to go have a story or whatever it is, snuggle time before bed. So I know as a mom, when I do that, I'm ready to go snuggle and go to bed.
I know. It just makes the whole night go more smoothly.
It keeps them in that parasympathetic nervous system state where they can rest and digest. Their gut's going to be able to absorb their nutrition better because they're relaxed. And then a lot of the healing takes place at night. So focusing on your bedtime routine, sleep. The other thing is just making sure that some of those key nutrients that support your immune system are at an optimal level. Vitamin C is great for kids. I really like the Young Living Chewable. Vitamin D, of course, a lot of children can be deficient in vitamin D and you wouldn't know that. So just keep that in mind when you're visiting your healthcare provider. Hey, I'd like to check my child's vitamin D, and have that something that you do on a routine basis, especially when you're approaching fall and winter time. Sometimes, your vitamin D levels are going to go up, and then you're going indoors more for longer periods of time. You're exposed to more artificial light instead of sunshine. And we really need the vitamin D levels to be optimal year round.
Sure. And is it true that with like all the sunscreen we're applying, we're really not absorbing the vitamin D that we used to when we didn't use sunscreen all the time?
Yeah, so that can vary depends on the individual. Obviously, we want a good, clean product that we can use when we're applying sunscreen. I'm always going to go into the toxin talk at some point. I know you guys have mentioned the mineral-based sunscreens, the one by Young Living. I believe they have a spray now, which I was so excited to see that there was a mineral-based
we
spray.
have all kinds of tips and tricks for how to use it and apply it. And I think, you know, for our boys, we actually did have their vitamin D pulled at one point in time during the middle of the summer at a well check. And we realized that even in the middle of the summer, their levels were low.
The same thing happened to me too. It was
Yes.
middle of July, and they're like, your vitamin D is so low. I'm like, well, no wonder I'm not feeling optimal. So.
Right. But when we started making sure that our children had vitamin D and a really strong, clean multivitamin, we noticed that it was much easier for them to stay and keep well. So that was really helpful. Talk to us about, any other supplements that we should consider besides the C and the D?
So C, D, a good well-rounded multivitamin that has vitamin A and zinc that can help to bolster your immune system. Probiotics. I'm sure most people at this point are familiar with probiotics. That's going to just give you a good toolbox. So if you have a good multi, if you have a probiotic, if you have some of these oils that are going to help promote immune system and relaxation, that's going to allow your immune system to function properly and hopefully ward off illness. And going back to sleep, electronics, keeping electronics at minimum during the day. And then I usually recommend electronics no more than 2 hours prior to bedtime.
Okay.
For teenagers who have homework on screens, that may be a little challenging, but at least 2 hours before.
Right.
Not having, the Wi-Fi router in their bedroom, keeping the lights dim, a good time to diffuse your oils. Using your diffuser that has a nice warm glow in the evening instead of having a bright reading light. Those are going to tell the child's body and brain that it's time to make more melatonin. It's time to go to sleep. So just keeping that consistent bedtime routine. And vitamin C, vitamin D, multi, zinc, all of those are very important.
What kind of oils would you say would be helpful, Stephanie, for before we send them out the door? Do you have favorite blends or your go-tos that you suggest?
I like to keep it simple, and I just use a Thieves roll-on first thing out the door. I keep one in the car, and I keep one near the door just as part of the routine. Going into fall and winter, I think that'll be very helpful for most families, and it just keeps it simple.
Yeah, and I think just keeping it handy where you are putting on your shoes or in your, I keep one thieves roller in my cup holder in my car because sometimes I don't remember before we leave the door if it's just kind of a busy morning. So just keeping it handy just to make sure everybody gets it is a good usage tip. So.
Yeah, and I love frankincense as well.
Yes. I love that too. And I know just frankincense in nature is it has so many powerful constituents that make it just really supportive for the immune system, whatever comes our way. So we have sleeping, making sure we're getting the right supplements, which if anybody's, just joining right now, it's vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, a probiotic, and just like you were saying, a really strong, clean multivitamin with a probiotic can really help support the child, as well as making sure we're doing something before we send them out the door. So maybe some frankincense or some thieves on the bottom of their feet or the spine. I love the spine, and probably similar to chiropractic care, the spine just has such an impact on total body health. So I love applying for us up and down the spine. And I think too, if you ever have a child who's really sensitive to a smell and doesn't prefer a smell, if it's not on their front side of their body, they're not going to smell it as much. So I think that's a really good sneaky mom tip to put it on the back.
Or their feet, because then you put your socks on and shoes on and then nobody knows. So.
Yeah, those are great. Another thing is just making sure that we minimize their exposure to sugar and processed food in general to keep their microbiome healthy, to keep
Right.
them from having crashes throughout the day, making sure that we're not just giving the probiotic and then they're eating cupcakes at multiple birthday parties throughout the week. That
Right.
was a huge challenge for our family in pre-K, surprisingly.
Yeah. Grams of sugar, because I know I'm a label reader. I know Jess is a label reader. We're looking for clean ingredients we can pronounce, but also the sugar content. Like, how many grams do you advise people, like, hey, try to keep it under this amount?
For the average person, the 20 grams or less, that recommendation can be very challenging. So I sometimes say, okay, if you can keep it at 40 or less, that's great, but really 20 is a good number. And if you're focusing on with your child eating whole foods, eating lots of plant-based foods, things that have naturally occurring sugars, their body will process that a lot easier, and it's not going to have the same negative impact on their microbiome as the 4 cupcakes at the birthday parties during the school year.
Yeah, I know, just being with Jess, her boys will, you know, like if we go to look at something to eat, if they want something to eat, it's so funny to me because I'm very mindful with my girls too about sugar. But with her boys especially, it's like, oh my gosh, there's 13 grams of sugar in that. It's like, it's so cute.
It's cute, but we've also had to tell them, you know, everything in moderation. We don't want anybody to freak out and have anxiety over it, but it's also helped us to teach them very early on that when you have too much sugar, you don't feel very good. And we have actually helped them draw that correlation between, I just ate all this sugar and now I have a stomach ache. And instead of just saying, oh, I'm so sorry, you have a stomach ache, we also say, do you think that maybe it was because of all of that sugar we just ate? So we try to help them feel the feelings of what it's like to eat healthy and how much energy we have. And then when we eat like a lot of the sugar, like Jess is saying, how that makes us feel kind of bloated and just overall not well. So this has been really helpful, Stephanie. I know I'm going to make sure that I add in zinc to my kids' daily routine so that I feel really good about them starting school. And we're going to get that time, you know, back in check and make sure that we have a consistent routine. Yep.
Yes, and I would love to speak to you guys another time and delve a little more into the topic, but these are absolutely some easy tools that you can have at hand to help.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, Stephanie. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.